There are things you never think you'll experience until you find yourself trapped in them. You can spend your whole life being the sensible woman, sticking to the rules, respecting boundaries, and still fall for someone you absolutely shouldn't. And no, I'm not talking about just any fling. I got involved with my best friend's son, a younger guy, broken, lost. And when I thought I had already made the worst decision of my life, his brother showed up and made me an offer that flipped my entire world upside down. My name is Claire, and this story began the day I agreed to a harmless favor, letting my friend's son stay at my house just for a few days. When Lisa called asking if her son could stay at my place for a few days, I said yes without thinking. We had been friends since high school, and I knew she was going through a messy divorce and financial problems. Her son Aaron had lost his job and was out of options. I hadn't seen him as an adult. I only remembered the quiet teenager from Christmas barbecues years ago. But when he showed up at my house, something changed. The way he looked at me wasn't the look of a lost boy. Aaron was 25, but he looked older. Tall, broad shoulders, dark eyes that avoided direct contact like he was hiding something. He arrived with a backpack and a shy smile. He kissed me on the cheek, just a second too long. I pretended not to notice. I showed him the guest room, made strong coffee, tried to keep it formal. But at night, while he flipped through TV channels with no interest, I could feel it. My body reacted in a way that scared me. In the following days, he was always so polite, doing the dishes, complimenting my perfume, laughing at my old jokes like they were new. I told myself he was just grateful, well-mannered, maybe a little lonely. But the way he looked at my neck when I tied my hair, the way our arms brushed at dinner, it was impossible to ignore. The whole house felt like it was breathing differently. I started staying up late, just to spend more time with him. One night, I heard him singing in the shower. The bathroom door was ajar, steam spilling out, and that husky voice, it pulled me in. I lay in bed trying to ignore it, but my imagination was already running wild. I started dressing differently. Red lipstick at breakfast, tighter dresses, new lingerie. It felt like a part of me that had been dormant for years had woken up, and it was hungry. But I didn't know if this was right, or if I was just projecting some old loneliness onto this broken young man. One afternoon, I came home and found him washing the car in the driveway. Wet shirt, sun-kissed skin, and a mischievous smile. "Thought you'd like to see the car nice and clean," he said. I laughed, cheeks burning. At dinner, he brought up relationships, asked if I was dating, why I was still single. I gave vague answers, but he pressed further. With each question, it felt like he was digging deeper. Deep down, I knew exactly where this was going. And the problem wasn't just him. It was what he was awakening in me. I wasn't just flirting with a younger man. I was flirting with the idea of feeling alive again, wanted. It was like he knew exactly where to push, without even touching me. And maybe that restraint was what excited me the most. But what I didn't know, not yet, was that getting involved with Aaron wasn't the real danger. The real danger shared his blood. That night, it was raining like the sky had fallen apart. I came home late, tired and stressed, craving silence. But Aaron was in the kitchen, making pasta and opening a cheap bottle of wine he'd found in the pantry. "Figured you could use this," he said. I didn't resist. We sat, ate, laughed. I realized it had been a long time since someone looked me in the eyes like that. Next thing I knew, my wine glass was almost empty. The conversation grew deeper. He talked about getting fired, feeling like a failure, his complicated relationship with his mom. I talked about my divorce, loneliness, the fear of growing old alone. The mood shifted when he touched my hand and said, "You're unlike any woman I've ever known." It sounded cliché, but coming from him, it hit different. I looked at him searching for logic, but found only hunger. Dry, irrational, desperate hunger. When he leaned in, I didn't stop him. The kiss started slow, tentative, like we were testing boundaries. Then it grew hungry, intense, dangerous. I felt alive, more alive than I had in years. Guilt came after, while he slept beside me, naked, breathing softly like nothing had happened. I stared at the ceiling, trying to understand what we'd done. It wasn't just sex. It was crossing a line I swore I'd never touch. And the worst part? I knew it wouldn't be the last time. And it wasn't. In the days that followed, we became experts in secrets. We exchanged silent glances, brushed hands in the kitchen, waited eagerly for the house to be empty again. At night, we locked ourselves in my bedroom like reckless teenagers. I should have felt ashamed, but I felt powerful, desired, more alive than I'd been in years, until he mentioned his older brother. He's visiting next week. Not sure where he'll sleep yet. My stomach turned. I didn't know his brother, just that he was older, more serious, more put together, as Aaron said bitterly. He thinks he's better than me just 'cause he still has a job, a girlfriend, health insurance, all that, he grumbled one night. I tried changing the subject, but something in Aaron's tone gave me chills. It wasn't just sibling rivalry. It felt deeper, darker, and for the first time, I was scared. Not scared of what we were doing, scared of what would happen when his brother arrived, and he showed up faster than I expected. One Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. Aaron was still asleep. I opened the door in my pajamas, and there he was. Cold blue eyes, stiff posture, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Hi, I'm Damon." And in that moment, I knew something was going to collapse. I just didn't know what yet. Damon moved in like he already owned the place. Just one small suitcase, but the way he walked around made it clear he didn't see himself as a guest. He was polite, too polite. He called Aaron little brother, with a tone that felt like an insult. And every time he looked at me, it was like he was analyzing something, measuring my reactions. He didn't need to say anything. His presence alone felt like a loaded weapon pointed at my peace. The second day, he caught me off guard in the kitchen. "You look great for your age," he said. "Do you work out?" I forced a laugh. Then he added, "Funny, my brother's always had good taste, even when he can't afford it." I froze. He knew. I didn't ask how, and he didn't explain. He just left the room, like he had planted a time bomb and walked away. That night, I confronted Aaron. He swore he hadn't told anyone. So how did Damon find out? I got my answer a few days later. Damon called me into the living room for a chat. He said he wasn't there to judge, but found my relationship with Aaron interesting. "I know everything," he said. "I saw you two. One night, you left the curtain half open." My blood ran cold. He sat next to me, voice calm. "Don't worry. I'm not the gossiping type. As long as you keep things balanced." I tried to laugh nervously. He didn't laugh. "You're blackmailing me?" I asked, barely above a whisper. He didn't answer. He simply picked up my phone and used my face to unlock it. There were photos, videos, messages, security camera footage. "You weren't exactly discreet," he said. "But relax. It stays between us if you play fair." I didn't know what fair meant, but I knew what he wanted, and it made me sick. I tried calling him insane, said it was absurd, but Damon never raised his voice. He spoke like someone reading terms of a contract I had unknowingly signed. "Either you deal with this quietly, or we explain everything to my mother. Together." Then he smiled, a cold, clean smile with no emotion. Aaron didn't know anything, and I was completely alone in that trap. That night, I didn't sleep. I walked around my house like a stranger. My furniture, my clothes, even the smell of my soap. None of it felt like mine anymore. Damon started sleeping in the room next door, but sometimes he'd open my door slowly and just stare. I stopped dreaming. I just existed, waiting for him to get bored. But the less of myself I showed, the more he seemed to enjoy it. And that's when I knew. I wasn't just in danger. I was being hunted. For a few days, I tried to pretend I still had control. I avoided being alone with Damon, dodged his comments, ignored his eyes scanning me. But he didn't need to touch or shout. His presence alone bent the air in the room. The atmosphere between the three of us became suffocating. Aaron noticed nothing. And I was living a horror play where only Damon and I knew the lines. The director? Already cast. Damon's remarks became more invasive. One night at dinner, he said, "Some people only learn when they lose control." Aaron thought it was political. I knew it was about me, and it didn't take long for him to corner me again. One afternoon, when Aaron was out, Damon grabbed my arm in the hallway, pinned me against the wall and whispered, "You decide, now, or I take your dignity public." And I didn't say no. His touch was calculated. He didn't seek pleasure. He sought power, treated me like someone fulfilling a contract, not someone being desired. I felt dirty, but I couldn't leave. Every time he seemed colder, more satisfied by my silence. Aaron started to notice. He asked if I was okay, said I seemed distant. How could I tell him that his own brother was using me as a bargaining chip? I wandered through my house like a ghost. The mirrors didn't reflect who I was anymore. My home smelled like a stranger's. Damon, now a shadow in every corner, would sometimes just sit and watch me, like a scientist observing a mouse that forgot how to run. I didn't feel alive. I didn't even feel afraid anymore. I just faded. One night, Aaron came to my room. He said I looked sad, that if something was wrong, he wanted to know. He hugged me. I wanted to tell him everything, but I stayed silent. He kissed me again. I cried. He thought they were tears of love. Damon watched us from the hallway, smiling. And if you're still watching this video, comment Labyrinth. From the outside, everything looked normal, but inside, I was trapped in a maze, and every exit led to another wall painted with guilt, shame, desire, and fear. I tried to plan my escape. Tell someone? Find a lawyer? Confront Lisa? But Damon was always 2 steps ahead. I hadn't figured out the real game. I only knew I was the weakest piece. The next morning, I made up my mind. I called them both into the living room and, with a firm voice, told them the arrangement no longer made sense. It was time for everyone to move on. Aaron was surprised, asked if he had done something wrong. I couldn't answer. Damon just watched, arms crossed, leaning against the wall. When Aaron went upstairs, Damon leaned in and whispered like a venomous snake, "You really want to end it like this? Loud and messy?" That same day, I started looking for apartments in another city. Called an old college friend, asked for agent contacts, browsed listings. I wanted to disappear, start fresh. I even thought about quitting my job, selling my car, leaving it all behind. But before I could act, I got a message from an unknown sender. A photo. Me and Damon entering a hotel. The same night he balanced the equation. The caption simply read, "Are you really ready to lose everything?" I felt my entire body go cold. He wasn't bluffing. There was more than I imagined. Screenshots, videos, digital trails. I was just a regular woman, respected, discreet, no history of scandal. If this story went public, my life would disintegrate. I thought of contacting a lawyer, but how could I explain I was sleeping with a man and being blackmailed by his brother? Who would believe me? I'd be destroyed. I thought about telling Lisa, their mother, but every time I imagined her face, the disappointment, the "you should have known better" look, I froze. Shame paralyzed me more than fear, so I decided on a backup plan, write everything down. I started keeping a journal hidden between coats in the back of my closet, but I knew that wouldn't stop Damon. He was always ahead, watching, waiting. Aaron began to act differently, more protective. He cooked for me, left sweet notes, sent thoughtful texts. "I feel like something's wrong. You deserve better than this mess," he told me one evening. And that's when it hit me. How much did he know? Was he trying to help me or trap me? Could I trust him? Was he also playing a game of his own? In a war of silences, even the quietest words can carry poison. In the following days, Aaron's affection intensified. He started staying closer, watching Damon more closely, even suggesting we move somewhere, just the two of us. I wanted to believe he was sincere. I needed to. But a voice inside me whispered, what if all of this, every kiss, every hug, was just another trap? And if it was, then who had really been playing me all along? A week later, I woke up ready to leave. My bag was packed, cash set aside, tickets bought. I hadn't told anyone, not Aaron, not Damon. I planned to leave a note and vanish. I went down to the basement to get an old box of documents. That's when I heard a faint ding from my laptop. I went upstairs and opened my email. And there it was, a series of photos. Me entering and leaving hotels, me with Damon, me with Aaron, all time-stamped. The message was short. You still haven't figured out who's really playing the game. No name, no face. But I knew it wasn't Damon. The tone was different, colder, more precise. It wasn't blackmail. It was a warning, A threat from someone watching from the outside, someone who knew everything, who didn't care about feelings, and the most terrifying part wasn't exposure. It was the realization that this was just the beginning. I froze. Who had access to all this? Could it be Aaron? Had he turned against me while pretending to care? Or was it someone from the neighborhood? A hacker? A friend of Damon? The truth was, I didn't know who I could trust anymore. Not even myself. I felt like I had become multiple women I never intended to be. The family friend, the lonely woman, the lover, the accomplice, the victim. I looked out the window and saw Aaron in the backyard, holding his phone. He was typing something, then looking back at the house, thoughtful. It chilled me. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But what if I wasn't? What if everyone already knew? And I was the last clueless piece on a chessboard set months ago? I wondered if Lisa knew. If her phone call days ago, when she asked how things were, was just a test, or a warning I didn't understand. I considered destroying everything: emails, texts, notebooks, change my name, vanish. But what if that made things worse? What if fleeing was exactly what they wanted? I decided to wait one more day. Watch. Test their reactions. See who moved first. Maybe there was still some truth buried beneath all this manipulation. Maybe I could still flip the board. Or maybe the game was never mine to play, just to be played. That night, I got another message. Just audio. Heavy breathing. And a voice I didn't recognize whispered, "It's not over." My screen went black. The hallway light flickered. And for a moment, I swear, I saw someone watching me from the kitchen window. But when I turned to look, there was no one there. Now tell me, what would you do if you found out that everyone around you was playing a game, and you were the main pawn without even knowing it? Would you run? Would you fight? Or would you play back, dirtier? This story isn't over. Maybe it hasn't even truly begun. I really want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments, suggest new stories, and don't forget to tell me what city you're watching from. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who loves intense, emotional, and real-life stories. I'm building a real community here, and you're part of it.